Throwaway for obvious reasons. So I, male, 47, feel like my entire family is treating me like some kind of monster over what I thought was a reasonable parenting decision. My stepdaughter, female, 20, let's call her Emma, kept losing her house keys and it was causing constant emergencies, so I changed the locks to teach her responsibility. Now my wife, female, 44, is saying I put our daughter in actual danger and I'm starting to question everything. Am I the idiot for changing the locks because my stepdaughter keeps losing her keys? Okay, so some background. I married my wife Sarah 3 years ago and Emma was 17 when I came into the picture. Her bio parents had this really nasty divorce when she was 8, and honestly, Emma kind of became the family peacekeeper after that. Like she's always trying to keep everyone happy and avoid any kind of conflict. When Sarah was struggling financially after the divorce, Emma basically became the responsible one in the house. I guess I should mention that I'm probably more paranoid about security than most people. My mom left when I was 8, and ever since then, I've been really particular about keeping my family safe and together. I check all the locks and windows every night before bed. I know that sounds crazy, but it's just something I do. My grandfather taught me to fix things and be self-reliant after my mom left, so I tend to be pretty direct and practical about solving problems. So anyway, the key situation. Emma goes to college about 45 minutes away, but comes home most weekends and some weeknights. Over the past 2 months, she lost her house keys 4 separate times. And I'm not talking about misplacing them for a few hours. I mean completely lost, gone forever, had to get new ones made. The first time was on a Thursday night in October. I get a call at 2 a.m. from Emma saying she can't find her keys anywhere. She's standing outside in 30-degree weather after being at some college party, digging through her purse, her car, her backpack, everything. I had to drag myself out of bed, throw on clothes, and drive across town to let her in. She felt bad about it and promised to be more careful. Second time was 2 weeks later. Left her keys at a friend's apartment and didn't realize until she got home at midnight. Another emergency call, another late-night rescue mission. Starting to get frustrated, but okay. Mistakes happen. Third time she dropped them in a campus parking lot somewhere and they were just gone. This time, I had to leave work early because she needed to get home during the day for something. My boss was not thrilled about me ducking out of an important client meeting. Fourth time was the final straw. Last Thursday night, I'm in the middle of giving a presentation to potential clients when my phone starts blowing up. Emma's outside the house at 2 a.m. again. Can't find her keys anywhere. This time they fell out of a rip in her jacket pocket. I had to excuse myself from the video call, leaving these important clients hanging, to go rescue my stepdaughter again. I started adding up the costs, emergency locksmith calls, lost work time, the stress on everyone. But more than that, it felt like Emma wasn't taking this seriously. She'd say sorry and promise to be more careful. But then it would happen again 2 weeks later. I'm not trying to be a hard ass here, but at some point there have to be consequences, right? So that weekend I decided to change all the locks. I've got my grandfather's old tools and my neighbor Dave does construction work. So we spent Saturday and Sunday replacing every lock on the house. It wasn't cheap, but I figured it was better than constantly paying for emergency locksmith calls. When Emma came home Sunday night, I sat her down and gave her exactly 1 set of the new keys. I explained this was about learning responsibility and that there were no spare keys hidden anywhere this time. If she lost these keys, she'd be stuck until I could physically come help her. I thought I was being pretty reasonable, giving her 1 chance to prove she could handle the responsibility. Sarah thought it was maybe a little harsh, but she agreed Emma needed to learn consequences. Emma seemed to understand and promised she'd be extra careful with the new keys. Well, this past week, we had this massive snowstorm roll through. I'm talking whiteout conditions, roads getting shut down, the whole thing. Emma calls me Wednesday afternoon, absolutely freaking out. She's trying to get home from campus because there was some kind of family emergency. She drives to the house and realizes in her panic, she grabbed her old keychain from her dorm room instead of the new keys I'd given her, so her keys don't work on the new locks. So she's stuck outside in freezing cold weather as this snowstorm gets worse and worse. I'm 3 hours away at a work conference, and Sarah is at her sister's place helping with something. The roads are getting really dangerous, but Emma's out there in this mess, so I had to leave the conference and drive home in whiteout conditions. I honestly wasn't sure I was going to make it. There were cars sliding off the road everywhere. When I finally got there, Emma was shivering in her car and just looked miserable. I got her inside and she was so grateful, but Sarah came home about an hour later and absolutely tore into me. She said I cared more about teaching lessons than keeping our daughter safe during a real emergency, that I put Emma in actual danger with my stubborn need to prove a point. And I don't know, maybe she's right. Emma was genuinely stuck in dangerous weather because of my decision to change the locks. But also, this whole situation wouldn't have happened if she hadn't lost her keys 4 times in 2 months. I feel like I'm being reasonable about teaching responsibility, but now my wife is acting like I'm some kind of monster who puts lessons ahead of family safety. Sarah's been stress cleaning nonstop since Wednesday, wiping down every surface in the house over and over. She does this when she's really upset. And Emma's been kind of quiet around me, which makes me feel terrible because I never wanted her to feel unwelcome in her own home. I keep going back and forth on this. Part of me thinks I was right to set boundaries and teach consequences, but part of me feels awful that Emma was stuck in dangerous weather because of something I did. The whole point was to help her learn responsibility, not to put her at risk during a real emergency. Am I the idiot for changing the locks after my stepdaughter kept losing her keys, even though it left her stuck outside during a snowstorm? Information to add. For those asking about spare keys, no, I deliberately didn't make any spares because the whole point was for Emma to learn responsibility. I know that sounds harsh now, but at the time it felt like the only way to make the consequences real. If there were backup keys hidden somewhere, she wouldn't really learn anything from the experience. Some people are asking about the family emergency that made Emma need to come home during the storm. Honestly, I still don't have all the details. Sarah and Emma have been kind of vague about it, and I haven't pushed because everyone's been so stressed since the whole snowstorm thing happened. To answer the questions about Emma's bio dad, he's not really in the picture much. The divorce was really messy, and Emma doesn't talk about him very often. As far as I know, he pays child support, but doesn't have much regular contact. Yes, I realize now that not having any backup plan was probably too extreme. At the time I was thinking about teaching consequences, but I didn't really consider what would happen in a genuine emergency situation. I guess I was so focused on the pattern of lost keys that I didn't think through all the possible scenarios where she might really need to get inside quickly. Since people are asking about our relationship normally, Emma and I actually get along really well most of the time. She's a good kid, and I've been trying to be a positive father figure since her bio dad isn't around much. That's part of why this whole situation is eating at me so much. I never wanted her to feel like I don't trust her or that this isn't her home too. Now for the first update. Well, it happened. I confronted Emma about the key thing, and holy shit, everything I thought I knew about my family was completely wrong. So after my last post, thanks for all the advice by the way, even the harsh stuff, I decided I needed to sit Emma down for a real talk about responsibility and consequences. I mean, the whole key situation was driving me crazy, and Sarah was still doing her stress cleaning thing every night, so I figured we all needed to clear the air. I found Emma in her room yesterday, unpacking some stuff from her dorm. She's been home more often since the snowstorm incident. I knock on her door and ask if we can talk about the key situation. The second I sit down on her bed, she immediately starts doing that thing where she braids her hair when she's nervous. I'm barely 2 sentences into my "we need to discuss responsibility" speech when she just breaks down crying, like full-on sobbing. I'm talking about learning from mistakes, and she's just bawling her eyes out, which is not the reaction I was expecting at all. So I stop mid-sentence and ask what's wrong. And then she just blurts out, "I wasn't losing the keys." I'm like, "What? What do you mean you weren't losing them?" More crying. Then she tells me she was secretly making copies of our house keys without asking. After I specifically changed all the locks to teach her responsibility, Emma explained through tears that keeping Mom's secret was making her so anxious she kept misplacing her own stuff, including her keys. The guilt of lying to me was eating at her, making her more forgetful than usual. I swear my brain just stopped working for a second. I asked her why the hell she would do that, and she starts stammering about how she needed to make extra copies for someone else who needed them every Thursday night. Emma explained that she'd make the copies during the week and give them to Mom before Thursday, but sometimes she'd mix up which keys were which, or Mom would take all the copies including Emma's backup, leaving her stranded when she came home unexpectedly on the same nights. Emma admitted that during the snowstorm panic, she'd been so stressed about keeping track of which keys were for Mom's meetings and which were her own new keys. She grabbed the wrong set entirely. The whole secret was making her paranoid and confused about which keys she was supposed to have. Now I'm getting really confused because who would need secret copies of our house keys every Thursday? And why wouldn't they just ask me directly? But Emma just keeps crying and won't give me a straight answer about who needed the keys. She's braiding and unbraiding her hair over and over, which I'm starting to realize means she's really freaking out about something. Finally, I tell her she needs to be completely honest with me or we're going to have a much bigger problem. That's when she admits it was Mom. Mom needed the secret key copies for Thursday meetings, and she made Emma promise not to tell me and threatened to take away her car if she said anything. Honestly, I just sat there for like 5 minutes trying to process this. My wife has been having secret Thursday meetings that require sneaking back into our house at 2 a.m., and she's been using our daughter as an accomplice. What the actual fuck? Emma shows me her phone, and there are all these text messages from Sarah with specific instructions about when to make copies and how to hide the extra keys, like step-by-step directions about which hardware store to use and how to make sure I didn't notice. My wife turned our daughter into her helper for whatever this secret Thursday thing is. I asked Emma what she thought these meetings were about, and she just shrugged and said Mom told her it was private business. And I would be really pissed if I found out. Which, yeah, I'm pretty pissed right now. So I march downstairs and find Sarah doing her anxiety cleaning in the kitchen. It's like midnight and she's scrubbing the same counter over and over again, which she does when she's really stressed about something. I confront her with Emma's story about the secret key copying. At first she tries to deny it, like completely denies it while scrubbing that poor counter even harder. But then I show her the text messages on Emma's phone, and she just breaks down. She admits to meeting someone at a hotel every Thursday. A hotel. She's been going to a hotel every Thursday for the past 2 months and sneaking back into our house at 2 a.m. using the secret keys Emma made for her. But then she insists it's not what you think, which is exactly what someone says when it's exactly what you think, right? I'm freaking out at this point. I mean, my wife has been sneaking around for months, meeting someone at hotels and using our daughter as her cover story. How is that not exactly what I think it is? But Sarah keeps saying the meetings aren't romantic and shows me photos on her phone to prove it. And that's when I see pictures of this kid, this 12-year-old boy who looks exactly like Emma did when she was that age. Turns out it's Emma's half-brother, her little brother that I've never met. Sarah's been secretly meeting with her ex-husband about ongoing custody stuff with this kid. Apparently, the ex has been struggling financially and threatening to move to another state with the boy unless Sarah helps him out financially and emotionally. Sarah broke down further, explaining that when I changed the locks, she panicked because it meant her Thursday meetings would be impossible. But she couldn't object without revealing the secret, so she had to pretend to agree while frantically figuring out how to continue seeing her son. And get this, Emma has been video chatting with her little brother every month, but was sworn to secrecy to protect me from family stuff. Like they all decided I couldn't handle knowing about this kid's existence. The ex-husband has been telling the 12-year-old that his sister has a new family now, but she still loves him, using the kid's emotions to manipulate Sarah into these secret support meetings. And Sarah's been giving him cash for living expenses and the boy's needs, funded by taking money from our grocery budget and Emma's part-time job earnings. So my stepdaughter has been secretly funding her mother's secret support payments to her ex-husband, who's using a 12-year-old as emotional leverage. And I've been completely oblivious to all of it. The worst part, the ex threatened that if I ever found out about the continued contact, he'd claim Sarah violated their custody agreement and use it to justify moving away with the boy permanently. So Sarah's been terrified that being honest with me would mean losing access to her son forever. I don't even know how to feel right now. I'm pissed that my wife has been lying to me for months. I'm pissed that Emma got dragged into this mess. I'm pissed that there's been this whole other family situation happening behind my back. But I'm also, I don't know. Maybe I understand why Sarah felt like she couldn't tell me. I mean, I barely handled the key situation well. Would I have been supportive about her ex-husband emotional manipulation and financial bleeding? Probably not. But now I don't know what's real anymore. Was the whole key thing just a cover story? Has Emma been covering for other family secrets? How long has Sarah been keeping things from me to protect me from family stuff? And this poor kid, Emma's little brother, who just wants to see his sister and doesn't understand why everything has to be so complicated and secretive. I feel like I've been living in some kind of alternate reality where everyone else knew what was really going on except me. Sarah's still stress cleaning, but now she's moved on to reorganizing all the kitchen cabinets at 2 a.m. while crying. Emma's holed up in her room and won't come out. And I'm sitting here wondering what other family secrets I don't know about. How do you even move forward from something like this? Like, do I just pretend the last 2 months of lying didn't happen? Do I insist on meeting this kid who's apparently been part of our family this whole time? Do I trust that Sarah won't keep other major secrets from me in the future? I honestly don't know if I'm more upset about the lying or the fact that I apparently can't be trusted with the truth about my own family. Edit 1. Since so many are asking, no, I haven't met the half-brother yet. Sarah says she's been protecting him from more family disruption, but honestly, I think she's been protecting herself from having to deal with my reaction. The whole thing is just a lot. 2. To those asking if I've contacted a lawyer, no, but maybe I should. I don't even know what I'd be asking about. Like, is there some kind of legal issue with Sarah secretly meeting her ex? The custody stuff is way above my head. 3. Yes, the financial stuff is a huge problem. I had no idea money was going missing, and Emma's been basically funding her mom's secret support payments without knowing it. I need to figure out how much money we're talking about here. Edit 4. For everyone saying I should have known something was up, yeah, maybe I should have, but I trusted my wife and thought Emma was just being irresponsible with keys. Sometimes the simplest explanation isn't the right one, I guess. Now for the second update. So a lot of you warned me that the whole secret key situation was just the tip of the iceberg, and wow, you were right. Things got way worse before they got better, but then they got worse again. I honestly don't even know what to think anymore. It's been about 6 months since my last post about Sarah's secret meetings and Emma's key copying situation. We did family counseling like a bunch of you suggested. Thanks for that, by the way. It was rough, like really rough. Sarah had to come clean about a lot of financial stuff she'd been hiding, and Emma had to learn how to set boundaries with her mom instead of just going along with whatever her mom wanted. But we worked through it, you know? Sarah promised complete honesty going forward. Emma started standing up for herself more. I met her little brother. He's actually a sweet kid, nothing like his manipulative dad. We even had some good months where everything felt normal, like we were actually becoming a real family instead of this weird situation where everyone was keeping secrets from me. Emma had gotten better at standing up to mom's stuff, but when it came to her little brother's pain, old habits kicked in. So for Emma's 21st birthday last month, I decided to do something really meaningful. I gave her my grandmother's diamond necklace. I know that probably doesn't sound like a huge deal, but this necklace, it's been in my family for like 80 years. My grandmother got it as an engagement present and wore it every single day until she died when I was 15. It's this old piece with 3 diamonds in a platinum setting, and honestly, it's worth probably $3,000 now. But the money value isn't even the point. It's the only thing I have left of my grandmother, and she always told me it should go to the daughter of my heart someday. I presented it to Emma in the original velvet box during her birthday dinner, and I got all emotional explaining what it meant. I told her this represented her official acceptance into our family, that she wasn't just my stepdaughter anymore, she was my daughter, and this necklace proved it. Emma started crying and hugged me so tight, saying it meant everything to her. Sarah was taking pictures of Emma wearing it, and honestly, it was one of those perfect family moments where I felt like we'd finally healed from all the secret-keeping bullshit. I was so proud of myself for rebuilding that trust. Like, after everything we'd been through, I was showing Emma that I considered her real family, that I trusted her with irreplaceable things. Fast forward 3 weeks. I'm doing our quarterly financial review for tax prep. Yeah, I know, super exciting. Part of our rebuilding trust involved more financial openness. We'd started sharing account access after all the hidden money transfers came to light. I noticed this random $400 cash deposit in Emma's checking account, which is weird because she works part-time at this restaurant and her paychecks are direct deposit, always the same amount. So I ask her about the unexpected money, and she immediately gets that nervous hair braiding thing going. Says it was overtime bonus from work. But that didn't sound right because she only works like 15 hours a week, and I've never seen overtime pay from that place. I hated that I was falling back into my old suspicious habits. but that unexpected deposit made me worry again despite the progress we'd made. Being the paranoid person I am, thanks for nothing, childhood trust issues, I casually stopped by the restaurant the next day to pick up takeout. Mentioned to the manager how proud I was of Emma's hard work lately. The manager looks confused and says Emma actually requested fewer hours this month because of school stuff. No overtime, definitely no bonuses. So I confront Emma again, and this time she breaks down completely. Admits she pawned some jewelry for a family emergency, but won't say which piece. I'm thinking maybe some random earrings or something her mom gave her. That's when I started visiting pawn shops. And let me tell you, that was a fun experience. 3 different places, checking their jewelry. At the second shop, I immediately spotted my grandmother's necklace sitting in the jewelry case like it was just another random piece. I swear I almost threw up right there in the shop. This irreplaceable family piece that I'd given Emma 3 weeks ago as a symbol of trust and family belonging, and she'd turned it into a $400 loan within days of her birthday. The pawn ticket was dated 5 days after her birthday. 5 days. She kept it for 5 whole days before deciding it was worth more as emergency cash than as a family piece. I paid the $480, loan plus fees, to get it back without saying anything about my personal connection. The whole drive home, I can't even describe how betrayed I felt. Like this wasn't just jewelry to me. This was my grandmother. This was family history. This was me trusting Emma with the most precious thing I owned. I spent the next week just staring at that necklace in its little velvet box, trying to figure out what the hell I was supposed to do. Part of me wanted to confront Emma immediately. Part of me wanted to pretend it never happened. But mostly I just felt like an idiot for thinking she understood what family stuff actually means. I made an appointment with my lawyer and updated my will. Removed Emma from all the family jewelry inheritance stuff. She keeps her college fund and cash inheritance for practical needs, but the meaningful family pieces, those go to people who understand they're irreplaceable. Emma's graduation party was last weekend. During the private family gift exchange before extended family arrived, I announced I was updating my will to reflect different understandings of family values. I explained that Emma would keep her college fund and cash inheritance, but family jewelry would go to my teenage niece instead. Then I presented the necklace to my niece as her new inheritance piece. The look on Emma's face when she saw that familiar necklace around her cousin's neck, she went completely white. She realized I knew exactly what had happened, but she couldn't say anything without admitting she'd pawned it. She just sat there getting more and more uncomfortable as relatives kept complimenting the necklace and asking about the inheritance change. After the party, Sarah cornered me and started begging me to reconsider. She'd figured out what happened when Emma called her crying about the inheritance change at the party, and finally got the whole story about the dental emergency. She explained that Emma pawned the necklace to pay for her little brother's emergency dental work. The ex-husband couldn't afford the $400 treatment, and the kid had been in pain for weeks. Emma felt guilty about having everything while her brother suffered. And look, I get it. Family emergency, kid in pain, noble sacrifice, whatever. But here's the thing. Good intentions don't excuse treating irreplaceable family items as emergency funds. That necklace wasn't just worth $400. It was irreplaceable. There's no amount of money that could buy back my grandmother's actual necklace if something happened to it. If Emma needed $400 for her brother's dental work, she could have asked me. She could have asked Sarah. She could have set up a payment plan with the dentist. But instead, she looked at my grandmother's necklace and saw, what exactly? A convenient source of emergency cash. Sarah keeps calling and texting daily, begging me to restore the inheritance. Says I'm destroying our rebuilt trust over one desperate decision. But that's exactly the point. When people get desperate, that's when you see their true values. And Emma's true values said my grandmother's irreplaceable necklace was worth sacrificing for a temporary money problem. I told Sarah that family jewelry isn't emergency funds, regardless of good intentions. That this proved Emma sees them as valuable objects rather than irreplaceable family connection. Sarah threatened to take Emma and leave if I don't change my mind. But honestly, that's her choice. Family jewelry goes to people who understand their irreplaceable nature beyond just money value. The thing is, I spent a year rebuilding trust after all the secret-keeping bullshit. I gave Emma something that meant everything to me as a gesture of that rebuilt trust. And within 5 days, she decided it meant more as pawn shop collateral than as family history. I'm not trying to be heartless here. The kid needed dental work, fine. But there were other options that didn't involve treating my grandmother's necklace like it was just another piece of jewelry. The fact that she didn't even consider those other options tells me everything I need to know about how she views family stuff. Maybe I'm being too harsh. Maybe I should be more understanding about emergency situations. But I keep thinking about my grandmother wearing that necklace every single day, and how she told me it should go to someone who would treasure it the way she did, not someone who would pawn it the first time they needed quick cash. Sarah says one emergency decision shouldn't destroy Emma's future, but it's not about punishment, it's about understanding. And Emma clearly doesn't understand what family jewelry actually represents. They're not assets, they're not emergency funds, they're irreplaceable connections to people who came before us. I don't know if I'm being reasonable or if I'm letting my feelings about family stuff cloud my judgment, but every time I look at that necklace now, I think about it sitting in a pawn shop display case, and I can't unsee that. Am I wrong for changing the inheritance because Emma pawned my grandmother's necklace for her brother's dental emergency?